Stan Gibilisco here, proprietor and operator of amateur radio station W1GV Whiskey 1 Good Vibrations. In May of 1979, I moved from Connecticut, Newington, Connecticut, at ARRL headquarters, to Miami, Florida, to work for an outfit called International Electronic Systems, also known as Amateur Wholesale Electronics. And that summer and fall of 1979, I put up a full-size quarter wavelength 40-meter vertical antenna on my landlord's chain link fence. She was kind enough to let me do that. It was guyed in the center. We very rarely got high winds in Miami, contrary to what some people might think. Of course, when they get high, they can get really high. And that Labor Day of 1979, we had a near miss with Hurricane David, which had sustained winds just offshore of 85 miles an hour. But inland, in Perrine, where I live, the suburb of Perrine, there were almost no winds at all, even during the height of the storm. And that antenna survived just fine. But my technician, one of my technicians at Amateur Wholesale Electronics, called it my Super 40 Killer Antenna. And it certainly did perform very well on that band. It surprises me now that I would have enough gall to put an antenna that high in an area where violent thunder showers, and I mean lightning storms, strike so frequently. But I didn't seem to care about that, and they didn't seem to care about my antenna either, lucky for me. But I made one very unusual contact on that antenna. A lot of 40-meter DX, but one peculiar, and I wonder whether it was maybe a hoax. It was the middle of the day on 40 meters, and I made a contact somewhere, if I may believe the prefix of the call sign, somewhere in Russia, which I believe then was called the Soviet Union. And I couldn't understand on 40 meters, how was that possible? Was somebody tricking me, or was it really true? And I guess I'll never know to this day whether that happened or not. But if it did, it may very well be the greatest example of a propagation anomaly that I've ever experienced. Because at that latitude, at that time of year, most of the path to Russia, or a good deal of it, would be over the daylight side of the Earth. And 40 meters is not known for long-distance propagation during the daytime, only at night. So I sometimes wondered, could it be maybe somebody who just didn't want to tell me where they were, was really from Russia, but maybe was located in Kentucky instead and didn't want to send slant W4 or something like that? I will never know, except that was a really cool antenna to have, a full-size, 33 feet high, a few radials in addition to the chain link fence itself. And wow, that was a 40 killer antenna, if I ever had one. Probably the best 40-meter antenna that I have ever had. Stan Gibilisco signing off. W1GV saying 73. and so long, which, at the end of the QSO with that station, whether it was in the Soviet Union or not, I know I must have sent da-da-da-da-da-da.